Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Two programming announcements before we get started this week. First of all, this is our 52nd episode, and we've done one every week, so that means this series is now a year old. And I looked at it, and we've done roughly 2,000 titles over the course of a year we've gotten to talk about. So very exciting that we've gotten to talk about so many different books and creators, and that you've been on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the show throughout the year, and I look forward to continuing. And, you know, the format might evolve a little bit. I have some ideas. I welcome your ideas as well. I may even do a survey at some point, but stay tuned. I really appreciate your support, and I'm so excited that we made it a full year without missing a week. So the second announcement is that the next book from Splinterverse Media is coming out in May. So make sure you're following everywhere. At a certain point, we will start some reveals and teasers. So you will be finding all about that very soon. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, our first title we're going to talk about is our exclusive discount on our social media channels this week, and it's called Ritual Curses. It is 58% off, which is again higher than the standard default discounts you get from the site-wide sales. So you'll want to act on this while you're getting that steeper discount than you would if it just automatically went on sale. And look at the fun cover. I love the concept of curses in D&D. And it's from Starshine. It's normally $11.99, but you're going to get it for 58% off. And it says, curses are dark and dangerous things. They have the power to render even the strongest of heroes helpless. But curses are not restricted to powerful wizards. Some curses exist outside of the normal schools of magic. Their origins and methods heavily controlled or shrouded in secrecy. And ritual curses are a new type of curse. Unlike the bestow curse spell, these curses don't require spell slots and have unlimited range. However, they require more components than usual, and each ritual takes several hours to cast, meaning the casting of one of these curses is a major undertaking. Each curse requires something from the intended victim, be it an item they've touched, a lock of their hair, or even some of their blood. Certain curses also need to be cast in specific locations, forcing villains to get creative if they want to use one. And there's over 30 different curses in here, covering everything from fun inconveniences to highly destructive magic that can topple even strong foes, such as Curse of the Cluck, a curse that makes the victim cluck like a chicken. Or Enchantment Destruction, a curse that removes the enchantment from any item the victim handles. And a lot more, of course. And just, we're going to look inside in a second, but just thinking about it, this could be really fun from multiple angles, including, you know, having an arch enemy cast one of these things on the players. The other would be maybe there's a faction that is like, we've got to perform this ritual so that we can weaken our enemy, and then the party can go take out that enemy. So let's do this ritual together, because what I love about it is the story potential, because it says here that you have to be in certain places, or that you have to get certain things like an item from the villain. So your party might have to use subterfuge or or role play, you know, to just kind of get in there and steal whatever it is, a lock of hair or whatever, right? And so that could be a really fun, like, part one, and then they cast the ritual, and then later they have, you know, they confront the big bad, and the big bad is weakened or whatever as a result of this. So many fun story opportunities, which is always my favorite thing when looking at these books, is what are the story possibilities? Because once you have story going, everything else can fall into place. You can deal with the mechanics, you can look stuff up on your phone or whatever, right? But you got to have a story. So very, very cool. Let's look inside. So yeah, it's just, I like that cover. And look, so here's talking about ritual cursing and rituals. What I also like about this is that we're familiar with rituals from a spell point of view, and so kind of leaning into that mechanic and just going to the side a little bit and saying, okay, let's now use that a little bit with cursing. It's great because it's not that big of a leap for your players or the characters to understand a ritual. What is a ritual, right? That's already happening in D&D. So very cool that they've you know, harnessed the mechanics that were already there a little bit. So you've got ritual cursing, and then you've got all the different curses. There's so many. Everything from anchor leg and armor melts and bow fire, lover's lethargy. I mean, even the names are fun, right? And you get to see the entire book in the preview. So before you get that 58% off discount, you can read through all this, see if you can use anything from it. Even if you don't want to use the system, you could still find some use from these curses, right? So I really think it's a cool book, and especially at that discount. I mean, to get all of this for 58% off is going to be awesome. So you've got information on how to end a ritual curse. You can use remove curse to do that, it looks like. It talks about the environmental components that you might need, etc. And then you get down here into the curses. So let's look at lover's lethargy. So it takes 5 hours. You need a stolen love letter, a ruby, pressed flowers, flower seeds, an emerald, precious gem dust, and a lock of the victim's hair, like we mentioned earlier. So you could see a whole adventure going around trying to get those things. And then the target is based on the lock of hair. And then ending it, you can use a remove curse, or the victim must get a kiss from their true love. So very fairy tale-esque, very cool that there's this other way besides remove curse that's, again, a story feature. You know, the way that's revealed to the players, revealed to the victim, revealed to everybody could be done so many different ways. So it sounds really fun. It says, the victim feels a strange wave of dizziness wash over them as their heart starts to pound. They will find themselves thinking about a loved one. So that's kind of that perspective flavor text. Love that. Whenever the victim is charmed, they must make a con saving throw. On a failed save, the victim falls into deep, unwakeable sleep for 1d6 hours. So you could combine this, you know, get them under the effect of this, and then charm them. And then if they fail that save for the charm, or the secondary save, the con saving throw, then they're going to fall asleep. So you'd get them completely asleep for 1d6 hours to do whatever, you know. Obviously you can't injure them, that would wake them up, but you know, hold them somewhere or keep them from doing something. Maybe they're about to do something terrible and you're stopping it, or maybe this is happening to a player and you've got to figure out, well, what in the world is happening? Why is the player just completely, you know, asleep here when we on the job? We need the player. So fun. Let's read one more. We'll look through here. Twisted Magic, 13 hours. You need Fleece, Stolen Spellcasting Focus, that's cool. Forked Twig, Unholy Water, Honeycomb, Incense, Iron Powder, Iron Blade, Lock of the Victim's Hair, and a location where the victim has expended a spell slot in the last day. And then, of course, targeting is based on the hair, and then remove curse, or the victim must burn a lock of the caster's hair to remove it. It says, whips of magical energy surround the victim before suddenly dashing toward the victim's heart. The area around the victim's heart turns purple. When this curse is cast, the person casting it selects one school of magic. Whenever the victim tries to cast a spell from this school, it instantly fails. So yeah, that would be very detrimental to either an enemy or a player, so that could be really cool. But I love, again, these items, you know, because you've got a stolen spellcasting focus, you've got a lock of hair amongst other things that have to be acquired to make this happen. And it's not always a lock of hair. There's one over here that says a vial of the victim's blood. You know, all sorts of options in here to really bring in that victim. And there's just so many cool curses in here. So yeah, I really like this, and you're going to get it for 58% off if you use that exclusive Splinterverse discount this week. And these are limited, so you need to take advantage now. If you're watching it when this video is new, you need to take advantage of that and get that discount. And be sure to follow us so you get those every Monday at around 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So look for it in the video description links under Ritual Curses. Should be the first one in the timestamps. All right, our first new title this week is Baba Yaga's Book of Weird Magic from E.R.F. Jordan. It's $7.95 for 41 pages. It says it's a guide to the most enigmatic hag in D&D, Baba Yaga. It delves into the history of Baba Yaga, combining lore from earlier editions with new original content to build one comprehensive character. It includes weird magic, so you've got the hag art of weird magic, in which the hag draws out the innate strangeness of an object to imbue it with magical powers. And it's presented in 2 different ways. So they've got 36 unique magic items and then 9 new spells. So, and these items are themed around the hags and the macabre, and then the spells are for a variety of classes, but they also kind of have that feel. And then they've got a deep dive into the history of relationships, powers, and more, including the stat block, of course, for Baba Yaga, and advice on running an encounter with her. And then you've got Baba Yaga's fantastical demiplane, the Dancing Hut, which is an improvised dungeon for tier 4 characters. It assembles itself as the characters explore, and it can include up to 36 unique chambers, each adding an encounter or bit of lore to delight and to spare your players. So there's a lot in here. I love how focused on its concept this book is, and sort of expanding out like ripples. So you've got Baba Yaga in the center, and then you've got, oh, let's look at the magic and the macabre surrounding Baba Yaga, and the stat blocks, of course, and then let's also look at the lore as another ripple, and as another ripple, let's look at her lair, right? So you really just focused, honed in on Baba Yaga. So I like that focus of the book. Very cool. Looking inside, you've got the intro, how to use the book, and then the list of weird magic items, including the Hag's Candle, all the way up to Baba Yaga's Cookbook. So there's some artifacts in here. Vein of Weird Weather, Orb of Nightmares, Twig Simulacrum. I mean, just some really cool, legendary, rare stuff. And I love that there's such a good spread here of everything from common all the way up to artifact. That's always helpful in a supplement. Sometimes you get a supplement and it's just a few rarities, and you know, when they've made a deliberate effort to do magic items, and it's like, I can't use these for all the different groups, right? You can only use them for a few. So having this kind of spread here, you can have beginning players get an item all the way up to, you know, tier 4 players, which is good. And so then it goes into some of the detail. You're getting to see 10 of those 41 pages, so we'll read one of these items in a minute, but some fun artwork in here. Yeah, so you're basically getting to see a good chunk of the magic items in the preview, which is great because there's a lot of good text in here that you can really read, see if it's going to work for you. This one caught my eye. No, I guess pun intended. It says Jar of Watching Eyes. It's a wondrous item, rare. It says this jar of floating eyes has a curious way of watching people as they walk by. The Jar of Watching Eyes sees everything in a 60-foot radius that isn't behind cover or specifically hidden from it with a dex or stealth check. The jar has 3 command words. As an action, you can touch the jar and speak a command word to activate one of the following properties. The first word, you learn everything the jar has seen in the past 24 hours. If you think of a person, place, or thing, as you speak the word, you only see visions related to that subject. So that's cool. You could set it somewhere. Maybe you're waiting for a suspicious person that your party's looking for to pass through a crowd, and so you could put the eye, you know, the jar watching sort of an area where there's going to be crowds or lots of passersby, and then you when you touch it, you think about that suspicious person and see if there's any pictures of that. And then the second word, you cause the jar to avert its eyes, prevent it from seeing anything for the next 24 hours. If you think of a person, place, or thing as you speak the word, the jar only averts its eyes when the subject is present. So that could be cool too, like especially if you have like an, you know, some enemy that you're waiting to show up. You could see if, you know, if it's there by its, all of a sudden the eyes start looking in a certain direction, then you know it's there. Now, it's unclear to me if it sees invisible things or not. So that could be really cool for it to maybe detect something invisible. I would guess that it does, but I don't know, because it does it is eyes, so maybe it does need to see. I don't know. Third word, you cause the jar to forget everything it has seen in the past 24 hours. If you think of a person, place, or thing as you speak the word, the jar only forgets visions related to that subject. Ah, okay. So you could wipe some of the memory. So lots of cool options here. I like that there's 3 different command words and they do different things. Really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's look at one more here. There's so many cool ones. It's hard to pick. You've got, gosh, Canary Cage of Trapping, Bones of Calling. Let's look at Bones of Calling, because it looks like I have a fun little table here. So it's a wondrous item, rare, requires attunement. This necklace is strung with 2d4 bones of varying sizes and colors, which seem to whisper and growl as the necklace moves. When you find or create this necklace, the DM rolls on the beast bones table to determine what beast each bone on the necklace belonged to, some of which might be duplicates. So, and then there's this beast bones table, and it has dire wolf, giant boar, giant constrictor snake, all the way down to war horse. As an action, you can pluck a bone from the necklace and throw it up to 30 feet, where it transforms into its associated beast if there's enough space for it to appear. The beast is loyal to you, acting at the end of your turn and obeying your telepathic commands. It reverts into a bone at the next dawn, or once it is reduced to 0 hit points. If you don't retrieve the bone and replace it on the necklace, it loses its power after 24 hours, becoming non-magical. Once you use the necklace to summon a beast, you can't do so again until the next day at dawn. So I love that. I think that's a really fun option. Gives you some different beasts. You could even, as a DM, replace some of the beasts with different ones if you wanted to. And there's some interesting story options too, because you could maybe have you know, a giant eagle summoned, for example, and the giant eagle's flying over a giant cavern, or a giant chasm, I should say, and you know, it's battling on your behalf, and then it gets to 0 hit points, and then the bone falls way down into the chasm. So then you're kind of like, okay, do I go try to retrieve this bone and have a full complete necklace with 2d4 bones, or do I just say goodbye to that bone forever? Because within 24 hours, it's going to become non-magical. If you even know that as the owner of the item. Sometimes you don't know all these details. So really interesting. I like that it covers all those aspects of, you know, what happens. Some magic items, they don't think of these possibilities, like what happens if this, what happens if that. So I really, really appreciate what ERF Jordan has done here. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think you should check it out. It's Baba Yaga's Book of Weird Magic. Give it a click. Next, we have Basic Pets, a series of pets and simple mechanics from Christoph Langham. It's a suggested price of $1.99 on Pay What You Want for 11 pages. It says pets have always been in a weird place in D&D. Officially, they don't really have much to them, and little guidance is offered for those that want to use them. Basic Pets aims to help both players and DMs looking to have pets in their games, and do so in a way that is easily modifiable to fit however a DM wishes them to function. So you've got rules for pets, like optional combat rules that don't break the action economy, rules for teaching a pet tricks and creating original tricks, tips for creating your own pets, and then it includes 9 different ones, including Aardvark, Awakened Shrub, Bat, all the way down to Sloth. And then there's handouts for the players as well, and you can see some of the fun little layout here with there's the Awakened Shrub, and here's the bat and the crab, etc. So you get some really nice, beautiful artwork to go along with this goodness. So let's look inside. So it talks about how it works with the dice pool and the combat and the bond, and then you get into your pet options. So let's go down and look. So each pet gains an amount of dice that can be expended by their keeper to do certain things. Such commands are issued as bonus actions, and a keeper has an amount of dice in their in their dice pool equal to their proficiency bonus. So, you know, an early character would have 2. And then, you know, as you rise in levels, you get 3, etc. And that's cool. The dice in a keeper's dice pool starts as D4s. These dice become D6 when a keeper reaches 5th level, and D8s when they reach 11th level, and D10s when they reach 17. And then you can command a pet to do one of the following. Trick. The pet is commanded to do a trick included in its pet block. The keeper makes a wisdom animal handling check, rolling and adding an expended die to the result. If the total is above the pet's will score, the pet does the trick successfully. The pet can do each known trick once per day. Attack, which is optional. The pet is commanded to attack a target within range. The keeper rolls to hit the target of the attack as normal, adding any modifiers the pet has, expending and rolling a die in the dice pool only if the attack hits. The target then takes an amount of damage equal to the number rolled on the expended die plus any bonuses the pet has. This command is optional because unlike others, it can greatly change, you know, how combat is run. So you could still have these pets with just tricks and seeking. So the pet is commanded to seek. The keeper makes an animal handling check against the pet's will score. On a success, the keeper expends a die, and the pet adds a result to the next perception or survival check it makes within the next minute. So, you know, it's kind of like a partial familiar. And then it talks about how to deal with combat and communicating risk and all of that stuff. And then it talks about the bonds, how long known. With these characters, which is really cool. And then here's one of the pet blocks. So they've got, you know, some of the typical things they would have, but then there's a whole section that's new called tricks. Like the aardvark has dig and spin. The aardvark digs a small circle in the earth beneath it, spinning rapidly in circles while doing so. So that could be used as a distraction, right? Or it could be used to, you know, maybe you need to ingratiate yourself with a faction, and so you say, oh, well, you know, we can entertain you. Let me show you what my little aardvark can do. And then fetch. The aardvark fetches an object it can see within the amount of movement it has available. The object must be 1 pound or fewer and be tiny size. If the object is being worn or carried, the aardvark must succeed on a contested strength check with the creature wearing or carrying the item. And if successful, the aardvark then uses any remaining movement in the direction of its keeper, dropping the object in its keeper space. That's cute. All right. So, you know, everybody, most everybody likes pets in real life. So you could bring this to the game. I mean, I've always thought about the two, like, how are they different than familiars? How are they different than other animal companions? You know, just having a pet bat or whatever, right? So this gives you a way, and I like that there's some optional parts to it, like the attack is optional, because then if you're concerned about that, then you can just leave the attack out of it, and you know, maybe it only does things to protect itself. You know, you can have that. So if it gets directly attacked, then of course it uses its combat to save itself, but you know, which wouldn't really, I don't think, mess up things too much in the game if it's not being offensive, if it's just being defensive. So very cool. Very cool. I like it. I love pets in real life, so having a book like this is super helpful. And pay what you want. I mean, that's awesome. So look for it in the links below under Basic Pets and give it a click. Next, we've got Blackjacker, a new card-based roguish archetype from GMBF Homebrew, $2.99 for 5 pages. It says you are a blackjacker, a magical card weaver with the ability to initiate a game of blackjack in the middle of battle in order to increase your own power. When you get stronger, you can even challenge a powerful mythical being called a dealer, wagering your own vitality to defeat your opponents. This subclass is played together with the standard 52 deck of French-suited playing cards, and familiarity with regular blackjack rules is recommended. But everything you need to know to become a full-fledged blackjacker is contained in this document. So it's got the brand new subclass, face the dealer and bet your own hit dice to gain the upper hand in combat. It's got a set of 4 thematic magic items to satiate your gambling deeds, including a ring of slots, which summons a slot machine where you can bet your hard-earned gold and gain a fortune. So let's take a look inside. And you get to see just one of the pages, but what's cool is it does include the 3rd level feature for the Blackjacker, and that is called Deck of Power. So you gain the ability to summon a 52 card magical deck that you can use to empower your abilities. For the purpose of this feature, face cards are worth 10, numbered cards are worth their face value, and you have a choice to decide whether your ace is worth 1 or 11. Whether you succeed on a sneak attack, and before you roll your sneak attack damage, you can choose to activate your deck of power, initiating a magical game of blackjack as part of that same attack. When you do so, shuffle your deck of power, then draw 2 face-up cards, which manifest above you as floating ethereal images surrounded by a faint blue glow, just like in this picture here. After seeing your cards, you can hit or stand, no action required by you. When you hit, you draw a new card. If you stand, you finish the game of blackjack, and you activate an effect determined by the table at the end of this document and your current card total. You can keep drawing magical cards, hitting until you stand or bust. If your hand ever goes over 21, you bust, also ending the blackjack game and putting you in danger. When you bust, the first attack roll made against you until the start of your next turn will be made with advantage. You can activate this feature a number of times per long rest, equal to your proficiency bonus. So very cool. Yeah, it just seems like a fun way to work a deck of cards into the game. And, you know, the visual sort of like Gambit from the X-Men, you know, with these glowing cards and stuff, right? Really fun. And blackjack is a simple game to understand, really. So even if, you know, your players don't know blackjack, it's pretty quick and easy to teach. I mean, most of the information you need is on the card itself, right? So it just becomes really, really simple. So very cool. I like it. Fun subclass for rogues. Check it out under Blackjacker in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Creatures of the Underdark. Discover a host of beings driven deep into the caverns and tunnels underneath the surface of Faerun. And it's by Grimm Press and a whole bunch of people. So I'm not going to read all those names, but congrats on the contributions to the book and getting the title out there. It says this source book contains over 180 stat blocks of new creatures with balanced stats, art, and lore ready to infiltrate your dark adventures and campaigns. Additionally, for the first time in the series, over 60 new magic items have been added to increase the value. And it's got Drow, Dwargar, and Underdark's denizens, but it also contains 5 battle maps, which is great. Okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The main aim of the product is to provide more interesting options than the Drow, Dwargar, and the typical Underdark denizens. So I misspoke on that, but you get the idea. It's all about Underdark, fun stuff. 255 pages, and it's $24.95. And you can see already some really nice layout with some artwork that's really good as well. As you're looking at these pages on the catalog page here. Now let's look inside. So you get to see 50 of those 255 pages. So it's a generous preview. Quite a bit of stuff to see. So you've got all the different creatures listed here. It looks like there's quite a bit. So that's awesome. Goes all the way from Abomadden down to, let's see, Zather. And then you've got magic items, everything from the Amulet of Morality all the way down to Zalessia's Shadow Cloak. So it's nice that it's a bestiary with all these creatures, and then you're getting these magic items as well. So here's the Abomadden. It says, stumbling through dark caverns, the tortured Abomadden are to be pitied and feared in equal measure. These sad creatures were once human, but through exposure to a virulent plague have become twisted reflections of themselves. Abomadden are constantly rotting. Their skin is a collection of weeping wounds and cancerous growths. In order to sustain themselves, Abomadden must feed on the flesh of other creatures. They dash towards their targets with breakneck speed before using their pincers to trap their prey. And it says Abomadden often cluster in large groups known as plagues. They travel through caverns, devouring everything in their path like a swarm of locusts. Unlike other pack hunters, Abomadden have no strategy. They simply charge forward and hope to overwhelm their prey through sheer numbers. So very cool. So then you've got the stat block here. They've got something called Mutant Sight, where they have dark vision is not affected by magical darkness. But they have Wretched Stench. Whenever a creature starts its turn within 5 feet of the Abomadden, it must succeed on a con saving throw or be poisoned. And then it also has Quills. Whenever a creature hits the Abomadden with a melee attack within 5 feet, the creature takes piercing damage and poison damage. So very cool. So yeah, lots of fun creatures. I'm gonna zoom out so you can get a better look of the layout here. Yeah, so you see tons of stuff, and the magic items are kind of mixed in as well. So that's helpful. So yeah, fun stuff. They've got a variant here with a chromatic ancient drake and Arachne the Insane. Yeah, so tons of stuff. The Book of Demons here. Let's look at that one. I wanted to read at least one item and one monster for you. So Book of Demons, wondrous item, very rare. This ancient book is bound in the cured skin of Tanari. Using this book, you have advantage on all intelligence skill checks made when dealing with demons, whether they be arcana, history, investigation, nature, or religion. Additionally, when you summon a demon, its true name is magically bound and written down in the book. Only one demon's true name can be bound in the book at a time. Once it is bound to the book, you can summon the demon and bind it to your service as per the planner binding spell, with the duration of 1 day without the need for a charisma saving throw. Summoning the demon first, a magical circle, or material components. Once a demon has been bound, the demon's name disappears from the tome, and you can no longer recall the demon's true name either, as it is magically erased from your memory. So, fun thematic stuff if you're going to be dealing with demons, and being able to bind them with this book. That seems really fun. So I like it. Lots of good stuff in here for your Underdark campaign. And sure, some of these monsters can be outside of Underdark. Same with some of the items. I mean, that demon book doesn't have to be in the Underdark, right? That could be in the Hell or Avernus or wherever, you know. There's a lot of places that you could use that. So check it out under Creatures of the Underdark in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have a Death in Dreamland. It's a 5e resurrection quest for 3rd level players by Rabbit Stew. Suggest a price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 34 pages. This is designed for 4 level 3 characters and should take around 4 hours. It's written as a one-shot, but can be modified as a resurrection quest in the case of a party wipe. So, when I was looking at this for, picking the lineup this week, I was intrigued because I thought, there probably is a need out there for people to have these sort of wipe quests that they can do to reset, get the characters back into the world. So actually playing that out instead of just saying, go draw, drop a new character is pretty cool. So you get to see the entire book in the preview, which is also helpful. You get the intro, then you get all the different sections of the adventure, all the way down to the 5th part, which is the conclusion, and then the end has characters and monsters, etc. It says, in this module, a scattering of recently deceased adventurers are offered a deal by a devil named 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙤. Do his bidding and be resurrected, and sends the party to the plane of dreams after a cache of counterfeit soul coins. The party find themselves in the city of Prindreton in the plane of dreams. Working against the clock, the party must investigate the soul coins and return to 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙤. So, again, you can use this when your party dies. Have them wake up. There's a devil saying, we'll resurrect you, but you got to go to this plane of dreams and find these soul coins for me. Or counterfeit. There's counterfeit soul coins. Find those soul coins, do whatever he wants with those, etc. So, and then it goes into, of course, all the different parts of that journey, the judging of souls, 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙤, information on that character, information on the plane of dreams. So a lot of detail has gone into this, which is really cool. So let's see if we can read some flavor text. So this is Finla Galeb's Spice House. It says the Spice House closes at 10 p.m. and Finla leaves at 11 p.m. Finla Galeb is secretly working with the Lord to turn the people of the city into soul coins. She maintains the Spice House as a front to hide where she really makes her money. And so the flavor text reads, as you enter, you are bombarded with the strong smell of spices from every corner of the world. Behind the counter, you see a gnome carefully using a mortar and pestle to crush her flour into spices. How can I be of assistance today? She says. And then it goes into Finla's information and what she's willing to relate via DC checks, or, ability checks, I guess you'd say. So yeah, it looks like a lot of stuff in here. Tons of flavor text, which I always appreciate. That helps DMs a lot. especially newer ones. I mean, you even experienced ones appreciate having the option to use those. Yeah, and you can see all the characters here at the end. So yeah, if you're looking for something, either a different adventure on the plane of, of dreams, or you want to have a situation where, if your party wipes, you can bring them back through this adventure. I think that's a really cool option. So look for it in the links below under Death in Dreamland and give it a click. Next, we have Dwarven Bachelor, build a relationship on a solid foundation. And if you are familiar with the TV show The Bachelor, this cover is very reminiscent in terms of font and background of that show. So I'm sure it's a parody of that. It's from Diomedes with a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 10 pages. This is Lord Melman Stonebrow needs to get married, and he's taken the logical step of finding his partner through a reality show. The most eligible contestants from across a casting call have come to meet him at a rented mansion to vie for his love and his clan's sizable fortune. It's a comedy PvP one-shot where each player takes on the role of a contestant on a reality show. Similar to The Bachelor, they will compete in several events to earn the love of the titular dwarf. While combat is involved, it largely comes down to skill checks, role-playing, and what decisions are made. Players cannot win by simply out-damaging each other. So you don't often see PvP, you don't often see the parody stuff. So I was excited that this one was released because it gives us a chance to show those kind of things that are out there. So you get to see the full book in the preview. So it says your job is to provide a thrilling narrative. No matter what the reality of the situation is, you'll be pitting the contestants, aka players, against each other and setting up ridiculous challenges for them. So it's designed with the intent that each player will be using a new first level contestant character, and you may allow higher levels if it better fits your campaign and if you want them to have access to higher level abilities. But players should be free to play whatever race and orientation they want. Melmond is looking for an emotional connection. This may lead to some wacky pairings. Roll with that hot dwarf on lizard folk action. And then it's got role-playing Lord Melmond, and then it tells you what the contestants know, the talking heads, the producers and the host, etc. And then it goes into the mansion, the resources, the events. So there's one here called Love is a Battlefield. It says the contestants spend the night in a well-appointed shared bedroom while Melman gets his own room on the other side of the mansion. When everyone is ready to move on, advance to the next day and read the following as bliss. They say love is a battlefield, and that has never been more true than today. Our lovely contestants will be proving themselves in combat against a horde of giant rats, but defeating the rats isn't enough. Dwarven culture and battle tactics emphasize working together to form a whole greater than the sum of its parts. Melman will be watching to see if the contestants can put aside their differences to conquer a common foe. It's a battle to see who can be the most helpful today on the Dwarven Bachelor. So, yeah, you get these fun little games. If you watch those reality shows, they have all kinds of games. Here's a dinner with all these questions being asked, like with Melman saying something like, I'm very involved with my clan. How do you get along with your family? What's your favorite color? Various fun little prompts that if they're pretending to go on a date, the DM can ask as Melmond, and the characters can respond to. And it says, unless there are plans for the story to continue, it's nice to wrap up each character with an epilogue. Choose the most fitting one. So each character will get an end. There's a winner, the villain, the new host, the next prize, the celebrity, the producer's crush, the quiet one, the all-star. So you definitely have to have a sense of humor and at a party that has a sense of humor for this. But it could be a fun little way to fill in a gap. Maybe you don't have enough players showing up for a session, etc. So this could be a way to get in there and fill in that gap and have some fun or some laughs. Or maybe you just want to have something like this that you can play and it's not this long multi-session thing. You just need it for this small group. You're going on a trip, whatever, right? Nice to have, and at $1 on suggested, pay what you want. Pretty inexpensive to grab this. So look for it in the links below under Dwarven Bachelor and give it a click. Next, we've got the Funginomicon from Joseph Holroyd. It is also on Pay What You Want, suggested price of $2.51, 14 pages. It says, deep within the forest beneath a fallen oak, in the space between soil and root, a cluster of mushrooms grow. Wrapped tightly in its fungal bed, the Funginomicon waits, feeding off the ancient forest. Within these pages, you'll find a list of mushroom-inspired spells designed for 5th edition. Spells for summoning polypore pups and mycelium huts, blasting foes with bolts of spores, and traversing terrain on fungal roads. And it's an ideal companion for any mushroom-curious druid, fungal fanatic alchemist, mycelium farming ranger, or any quest deep into the Feywild, where the weird and wonderful thrive. Does your hag need unpredictable wild magics? Does your Myconid sorcerer need more Myconid spells? Look no further. So very cool. You know, I love plants, so so when books cover plants, it's always exciting to me. So the cover is really fun too, and I love that when you look at it here. Let me zoom out. That there's like this color it yourself version as well, so you could print that and, you know, have some relaxing coloring time, which is cool. And then we don't get to read any of the spells, but in this 4-page preview, you can see a list of them. You've got Emergent Shell, Fungal Shape, Luminescence, Cloak of Autumn, Graceless Decay, Polypore Familiar, that sounds fun, Cordyceps Control, so, you know, Cordyceps is that sort of zombie fungus that takes over things, so that could be fun. Fungal Patchwork, all kinds of mushroomy goodness in here. So I think if you are looking to make your druid a little bit more connected to nature, or if you're looking for ways to have some curious plants that are discovered in your fantasy landscape, this is a really good option for you. You know, it's helpful. You know, just describing monsters is not always enough to bring these fantasy settings to life. It takes more than that, and plants are a great way to do it, because there's a lot of traipsing through the countryside trying to get from one location to another. It can even make travel more interesting. So check it out under Funginomicon in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Known Universe from Cheesecake DM, Sam McGurran, and Essen Joyner. It's $10 for 61 pages, and it says, a vast and cosmic adventure awaits you. Explore its vast planets, visit the Alexander faction, fight against Glorial, and make the most out of the known universe and its many mysteries. There's new lore in the known universe, new history for all the basic races, new history for how magic is made, tech-related feats, a new race option, 14 sci-fi weapons, armor, items, ships, religions. I mean, just all the sci-fi stuff that you could want. And then, you know, here's some of the spreads so you can see inside. Really cool artwork. There's some of the weapons. Yeah, so bringing sci-fi to 5th edition. So this could be a really cool way to do that. And there's even a discount code down here you can use to make it even cheaper for you. But I love it. I think that having sci-fi in 5th edition is really cool, and this is a really inexpensive way, in my opinion, to do that. So let's look inside. Unfortunately, the full-size preview is giving an error, so we just have the small one. But let's see if we can zoom in a little to make it a little easier to see. So yeah, so you've got the common armor, the new equipment. Yeah, look at how nice all this artwork is, right? All these little vehicles. So they've got vehicles in here, different little ships. You know, a Spelljammer coming with multiverse becoming more a part of this. I mean, last week we looked at one that like combined all of the, you know, sci-fi and fantasy. You know, there's this sort of place in the middle of nowhere where you could travel to different settings. You could definitely use this with that to have some sci-fi stuff going on. Yeah, very cool. It's a little too fuzzy for me to be able to read much to you, but I'm enjoying getting to see some of the artwork here for you. There's a lot of different shapes to these. You know, a lot of times with ships you get like one shape, and it's like maybe you don't like that shape. Maybe you want a more boxy looking one, or you want a more streamlined aerodynamic looking one, or you want a more forceful looking one. You know, there's just so many different ways you can go with ships, and especially if it represents the character. So very, very cool. It's exciting that this is out there for people to get their sci-fi on. So check it out under the Known Universe in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got March of Monsters 2022, a collection of 35 unique monsters from Ewan Cockburn. It's $4.99 for 36 pages. And they range from CR 0 to 16, 10 different creature types, flavor, text, and suggestions of use straight from one dungeon master to another. So you've got 1 aberration, 8 beasts, 1 celestial, 7 constructs, 2 elementals, 3 fae, fiends, humanoids, monstrosities, all of them, right? So let's take a look inside. So get to see 6 of those 36 pages. So you've got pluvia, atmospheric beings here, revolutionaries, Stuffles the Lost Toy, that's fun, and then the Dungeon Master. And his master or madman. It's been known from time to time that underground structures become home to strange, oddly knowledgeable madmen. These creatures call themselves dungeon masters and claim to have omniscient knowledge of everything in existence. While it is true they seem to be highly knowledgeable about almost every subject, citing obscure facts, detailed methodologies, and even successfully predicting events ahead of time successfully, more often than not. Their claim, however, is intensely undercut by the fact that they often make statements with complete confidence about subjects that everyone is familiar with, and flying in the face of all conventional knowledge, and roundly refusing to accept common knowledge everyone knows to be true. They also complain frequently about a party of players that the Dungeon Master seems to be always aware of, and if the Dungeon Master can be believed, keep causing their future predictions to go wrong and force them to rapidly reevaluate what needs to happen. So this is kind of a parody, right, of a Dungeon Master. And you've got several interesting abilities. You've got deep knowledge. The Dungeon Master has advantage on all intelligence ability checks. And then you've got lore drop. The Dungeon Master starts shouting seemingly random information about the world. Every creature that can hear the Dungeon Master within 60 feet of them must make an intelligence saving throw, taking psychic damage on a failed one. Or half as much, of course, on a successful one. So fun stuff in here. Lots of cool characters. I mean, you've got a stuffed toy, you've got the pluvia, this atmospheric beings, and quite a range of creatures. You know, you've even got the revelers in here, and the Dungeon Master CR1, so you can have that pretty early, and you could fit that really in. You know, some basically questionable person living in a dungeon, thinking they know everything. You know, that could be fun. So check it out under March of Monsters in the links below and give it a click. Next we got the Necromancer class from John Aldrich, $4.99 for 14 pages with this fun cover. And it says, a gaunt tiefling saunters across the battlefield, tome in one hand, a slender blade in the other. She sneers at the barbaric orc, and the orc knows without question he is breathing his final breaths. An ebony-clad gnome places his hand on a cleric's hemorrhaging wound and weaves new flesh around it. His eyes glow white as she regains her breath, feeling death's grip loosen. Perched upon a parapet, a vulturine Aarakocra raises their talons to the sky, and mountainous bones of long-dead titans erupt from the earth to surround approaching foes. Keepers of both life and death, true necromancers are both students of medicine and practitioners of the strange occult. Necromancy is not for the faint of heart. This path offers great power and the answers to life's most haunting questions, but at what cost? So it's a hybrid melee fighter spellcaster for players who want a mechanical and flavorful alternative to the wizard's school of necromancy from the player's handbook. It focuses on the conflict and duality of mortal life and everlasting death. Necromancers take on 3 distinct playstyles through the subclasses of blood and bone, flesh and soul, and rot and renewal. They're students of balance and death, etc. So you've got Vivicor and Mortance. Surge your spellcasting with Mortance. The shadowy essence of death, embolden your attacks and healing with Vivicor. The glowing miracle of life. As you expend one, the other grows stronger. Necromancers gain a number of spells and abilities that can be emboldened with these primordial essences. Players who study the art of necromancy must find ways to keep these essences in balance. So I like that they're adding these new essences and interesting. You know, a lot of times it's just here's your version of key points, or here's your, you know, something like that when people create new classes. But to have this balancing act, that's pretty original. I like that. And then you've got the 3 subclasses. That also makes sense of why they would have these blood and bone, soul and flesh, rot and renewal, you know, like dual named subclasses too, because they're trying to keep that balance, right? And then here you get to see the table. So yeah, and the publisher's 5e Trash, which is fun, a fun name for a publisher. Let's look inside. So it goes through introduction, the features of the class, and then the subclasses, and then of course a spell list. So yeah, let's see what kind of fun stuff we have in here. Just really cool. I want to see if I can read about those. I'm not sure if it'll be in here, but there it is, Vivicor and Mortons. So your grasp on the duality of life and death empowers your necromantic abilities. You gain access to Vivicor, the primordial essence of life, and Mortons, a dark energy of death. As you level up, your pool of Vivicor and Mortons increases. At each dawn, you have an equal pool of Vivicor and Mortons, as shown in the Necromancer table. However, those amounts shift over the course of the day. When you expend Mortons from your Mortons pool, it gets converted to Vivicor and added to your Vivicor pool. When you expend Vivicor, the opposite happens. For example, a 3rd level Necromancer starts the day with 2 Mortons and 2 Vivicor. They expend 1 Mortons to cast a 2nd level spell. Once the spell is cast, they have 1 Mortons and 3 Vivicor. So very cool. So you kind of have to really think, okay, I need to use a feature or spell that's going to use Vivicor to get my Mortons back. And so it's this kind of balancing act, which is unique. I don't see a lot of that in other classes, and you know, really cool. I think this is fun, and $4.99 for a whole new class and some new concepts. Like, you know, even if you just use Vivicor and Mortons as, you know, babble that somebody says, or you know, some background, that could be really cool too. So lots of options, and I love the way that they're trying this balance thing. It's just really unique. So check it out under Necromancer class in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Rescuing Lulu from Elturel, Descent from Waterdeep series by Hunter Stardust. It's an adventure that seamlessly connects to Waterdeep Dragon Heist into Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus, and beyond. So alternatively, it can transform Elturel into a historically researched 25-location sandbox for any campaign traversing the Sword Coast, or it can be used to be added to Tyranny of Dragons or Descent into Avernus, however you want to use it. So there's 8 new high-res maps from Michon Cantrell, and you can see here how gorgeous those are. I mean, look at this. Really nicely done maps. I love that. And yeah, these are really nicely detailed maps. Very cool. And it says it's a 3 to 5 session adventure for 4th level characters. So you get the map pack, you get a magnificent new map of the city, and then you've got 25 fully developed historic locations, and you get story overlap and optional integration with 5 classic titles. And those are listed here. So everything from Baldur's Gate to Blue Alley you can integrate. And then, of course, seamless story integration with Waterdeep. And then lots of artwork inside. So let's look inside. So here's all the chapters, and then the epilogue. And then at the end, you get the maps as well as clues by location. So, I mean, look at the fun artwork in here. We're just kind of quickly scrolling through to give you an overview. But, I mean, looks pretty nice, easy to read, beautiful maps. Love the maps in here. So let's see what we can read for you. Let's look at this. The mounds near Dragonspear Castle. As Dragonspear Castle first comes into view far on the eastern horizon, you notice that the meadow before you has a number of bizarre linear mounds raising across it in a crisscrossing pattern. While gazing across the plain, the ground seems to shake momentarily, but perhaps it is just your imagination. So there is something to deal with there, but I won't spoil it. And it talks about who are the people that abducted Lulu. And then an overview. Yeah, some fun stuff. It says, Eyes of Galore, optional. I'm preparing to run Waterdeep, or the adventure. Many DMs notice that there are 4 great villain layers that might never be used in the campaign. While there are a number of ways to alter the adventure to incorporate these layers in a meaningful way, there's a compellingly simple way of doing so. The Stones of Galore does not currently work because all 3 of its eyes have been removed and are currently in the possession of 3 of the 4 villains. This simple but powerful alteration of Waterdeep Dragon Heist creates a grand game structure that requires the PCs to engage in a series of actual heist missions into the villains' lairs to acquire all eyes to activate the Stone of Galore and locate Lord Nevermember's hidden stash of 500,000 gold dragons. So it says rescuing Lulu's philosophically incorporates the search for the eyes of the Growlore as a means of unlocking the greater potential of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but does so in a minimalist way that enables the DM running rescuing Lulu to be able to freely choose to stick to the original adventure or to create your own. So that's cool that they're working on that. They give you the option to explore that remix if you want. So yeah, lots of prep material here. I appreciate that they're really spending a lot of time helping you connect to these other adventures and bridge the gap. And they have clearly a deep understanding of these existing modules. So love that. So check it out under Rescuing Lulu from Elturel in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Vault of Castuvius, a heist adventure for 8th level characters with this fun little cover. It says a heist in a wizard's theft-proof vault. An evil artifact has been stolen and is currently held in a theft-proof vault of the evil wizard Castuvius to be sold to the highest bidder. The party have been hired to get the powerful item before it falls into the hands of dark powers. They are instructed to try to bargain with Castuvius first, but if they cannot get it fairly, then they take it by subterfuge. Outer locked vault doors are the first step to overcome, with no handles and no locks, only an eye slit from which stare the glowing eyes of a huge skeleton. How are the doors operated? Are they magic? What are the skeletons for? Can they be killed? Should they be? Lots of questions to answer. And you can see some fun maps and puzzles and different things in here involved in this heist. So looking at you get to see all 42 pages in the preview here. So pretty much maps out a lot of named locations, and it just looks like it could be a fun little heist adventure here. So just kind of scrolling through to give you a feeling of all the different things you're going to see. So let's read some of the flavor text at the front of the manse here. It says, under the blackest sky, wind and rain tears at you. At the end of this long lane, now flooded in places, is a crouching manse at the edge of a thick and ancient forest. Dim lights burning from its gabled windows. Gargoyles glare down at you from the upper stories. Whether monster or carved stone, you cannot say. Wide marble stairs lead up to an impressive oak door, studded and bound with black iron. A copper bell stained green with time hangs from the hook at the side. So nice, I like that. Very detailed, descriptive. And then it talks about some gargoyle stuff and golems, and yeah, lots of flavor text for each of these little named locations to really get you going, get you through all of this. And yeah, I think you know, all these maps with the numbers on it are helpful. So yeah, this is really well prepared. I love that you can read the whole thing. You get to the end, you've got your stat blocks, handouts. So yeah, they've really put in the work here. It's always fun to have a heist too. I think heist adventures are just really extra fun, you know, Ocean's 11 style, just kind of try to avoid, you know, the traps and getting exposed and everything. And, you know, so I think Mark Massington has done a really good job here, putting all this detail in here. And it's only 50 cents. 50 cents to get 42 pages of adventure, even if you just use some of the characters from it, even if you just use some of the traps or some of the beautiful descriptions that we read there. I mean, 50 cents, that's a steal for this. So check it out under Vault of Castuvius in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Wondrous Psionics, full rules for adding psionic classes, powers, items, and creatures to your game from Rob Waller and Spirit of Envy, $4.99 for 41 pages. It says it's got a complete psionic system for 5th edition, 2 full psionic classes in the Scion and the Night Scion, 11 subclasses, 8 psionic disciplines, 48 highly customizable psionic powers, 8 new feats, psionic equipment, including psionic crowns, psionic crystals, and psionic tattoos. Rules for creating psionic creatures, including 8 new creature templates. And then full rules for adding psionic classes, powers, items, and creatures to your game. So, I mean, you can just see with the table of contents that just tons of stuff. I mean, everything from creatures, equipment, feats, classes, subclasses, any direction you want to go. And the beauty of this is that you don't have to like use all of it. You can say, I'm just going to add some psionic subclasses, or I'm just going to add some psionic monsters, or I'm going to add, you know, some psionic feats, or you can add multiple things. So for $5, you're basically going to get all the different psionic options you could probably ever need for 5th edition. And you get to see that, again, that wonderful table of contents here where they have so many different options. So it talks about how to use the book here, glossary of information, and then gets into magic and psionics. So you've got detect psionics and dispel psionics as 2 new spells to support the use of psionics in your campaign, because if you're going to fully integrate it, if you're going to use all of this, you will need spells like dispel psionics, etc. And you've got knightly orders, psionic powers, the amethyst order. So yeah, they've got like all these gem themed orders. But let's go back up here and read a little bit about optional rules. So if you'd rather play in a world where psionics and magic more readily interact with each other, then you can just make the terms magic and psionics interchangeable along with spell and psionic power. This would allow effects like detect magic to cover both magics and psionics without the need for variant spells. You could also have a world where one form of power is able to detect and negate the other, but not vice versa. For example, in a campaign where psionics are a new emergent threat and magic has no power to even detect its presence, this kind of imbalance can make for a compelling story and strong motivations for those that feel threatened by other forms of power. So, but it says the default stance of the book is that magic and psionics are separate effects, and that spells, powers, and abilities that specifically affect one do not by default affect the other. Therefore, detect magic or dispel magic would have no effect on psionic power. The exception to this is that attacks with psionic weapons and magic weapons should be treated as equivalent for purposes such as overcoming damages, resistances, and immunities. So fun that they've thought through that and they're considering that. And then you've got, you know, even full classes here. So it says from first level for this psionic, it looks like the Knight Scion, you are able to manifest any psionic powers you know by spending a number of power points equal to the base cost plus the cost of any amplifications you wish to apply. So you get a whole pool of psionics to use, and then you get subclasses to further tweak things based on different gems. So really fun. I like it. And I know a lot of people miss psionics and would like more psionic stuff. So I'm happy to see this exist for such a great price. I mean, $5, you get 41 pages of psionic options, so you can really work it in however you like. So check it out under Wondrous Psionics in the links below and give it a click. That's our last DM Guild title for this week. We're going to move on to DriveThruRPG, but before we do, be sure to follow us everywhere on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, all those places. And we are going to be not only continuing our discounts and free content throughout the week, we have a new book that is coming very, very soon in May. And we are going to be ramping up what the reveals on that. So we want to make sure you're following us at Splinterverse to get all the insight and know what's coming so you can prepare. Because it is our biggest book ever. And I don't want you to miss it. So please stay tuned for that. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, anything you want to ask about the show, our books. I'm here for you. I will respond personally. And I love hearing from you. I love hearing what books you're going to buy this week, what intrigued you. If you picked up a book, come back and let us know how it was. Of course, leave reviews on the books that you purchase if you can, and follow those creators on social media. And speaking of those books, there's a huge list of links in our comments and our description for the video. Please click those links and do your shopping. It helps us with a small affiliate fee. And also, you're supporting all these creators. There's so many great titles. I just want to buy them all every week, but I can't, unfortunately. You know, but hopefully we can all get some of them and keep supporting them and encouraging them to create new stuff. And there's also all the Splinterverse titles from 2021 down there. So if you want to check those out and support us, you can do that as well. We've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages in print or digital, devoted to potions, deep diving with all kinds of new potions with short stories for each one, really detailed potion vendors with shopping lists so that you can actually, use them as a store if you want to, or use them as a story element with maps and even some plants and different things in there. Then we've got Feywild Companion, which is 150 plus pages of Feywild goodness in print and digital, and tons of VTT tokens, all kinds of player and DM stuff in there. If you like Feywild, or even want to, you can use the stuff outside of that. We deliberately wrote it in a way that most of the stuff can be used outside the Feywild as well. So lots of value in those 150 pages, and that's available as well. Then we've got The Secret of the Draugr, which is all about a new race that is a blend of the Duergar and the Drow, with some surprising tweaks. They've got new deities, different personalities. There's 3 backgrounds in there that you can choose from, and those backgrounds can work with other races as well. So lots of fun to be had in that book. And then you've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which goes into some really cool new optional rules for lineages, as well as 4 very distinct conflict-driven lineages. If you want to thrust a really interesting lineage on somebody, have them have to deal with a life or death situation connected to their new lineage, this is one way to do it, because it really works with any setting. There's some really fun options in there. And then we've also got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, a very popular one of our books. It's got so much dragon goodness in it. I mean, every single class has a dragon-themed subclass, including ones that already had dragon-themed subclasses from Wizards. We found ways to make them even different. So, for example, there was already a dragon subclass for the Sorcerer. Well, we have the Saltwater Soul, which is focused on water style dragons, whether it's a dragon turtle or a sea serpent, and working that into a subclass for a sorcerer. So we didn't just take the easy road. We never do with Splinterverse books. That's why we don't release a ton of them throughout the years. Each one we want to be an event for you. So you got to check that out and enjoy all the dragon goodness. I mean, there's familiars, adventure hooks, horde magic items. I mean, it's just dragon galore in that book, so look for it in the links below as well. All right, let's move on to DriveThruRPG. Aesyr Trollborn is our next title, and it's a post-apocalyptic trollpunk micro setting for 5th edition from Daylight Publications, $15 for 37 pages. And it's got a lot of inspirations like Wildstar, Destiny, Borderlands, even World of Warcraft. And it says, it's a world regrowing. To they who have found this tome, what you hold within your hands is a long and arduous work to collect the history and legends of our long imprisoned world into a volume that is processable enough for young individuals who might start to grow within our borders. So look at this really fun, beautiful artwork. And it's a land shrouded by fog and mysticism. The Zuxun Imperium reigned supreme for millennia, believed to have gotten their powers from titans of creation themselves. However, the mortal races, all created the Zuxun trolls, came to chafe under this rule and took up arms against their makers. Mortals would have failed had it not been for the gods, individuals who used troll magics to ascend to incredible and sometimes horrible power. So really cool. I love this. Absolutely love this map. This is just really beautiful. Saga McKinsey always does just stellar work, and I love that. Looks gorgeous. And so I'm just excited that there's a trollpunk setting, post-apocalyptic trollpunk setting. I mean, if you told me last week, oh, next week there'll be that, I'd be like, no, there's no way. But there is. Somebody made it. Daylight Publications made it, and it's exciting. So here you go. You can see inside. I get to see about half the book in the preview, but there's lots of information. They even have different coinage, different names for the coinage. So it looks like it's 1 Krilk for copper, and Krelsk for electrum, and gold is a Krabic. And then, there's a magical schema, and you're just looking at all this beautiful art. There's counties, Defonder County, Goes into all the different details of that county, Thrall County. So this is really giving you a cool location to have this post-apocalyptic troll punk stuff going on, with different little symbols. You saw the map, the beautiful map by Saga, and it's just awesome to have all this together. So let's read a little bit about Defonder County here. It says it's got little of the old duchy of Zakavathum remains, the only prominent piece being the old ruins of the Pyramid of the Shimmering Eclipse that sits enshrouded by a thick banyan grove in the lakeside lumber town of Gessel. Set along the Drumblin Road, following the ancient trail that the trolls took fleeing from the realm, Gessel and its neighbor town of Paddleton across Puku Lake are centers of artisan wood carvers and lumberjacks who work alongside lumberfolk who delve into the thick forest nearby. I'm sorry, I'm butchering all those words. I'm I'm tongue twisted today. Other than its lumber, Defonder is known for their duck cattle-sized groundhogs who grow thick wool that make handsome sweaters and kilts often worn by Defondrians. While most in Defonder consider the old lumber baron Curvo Ross to be the real political voice of the country, or the county, many of the younger generation turn to the god of Defonder, a rather arrogant, somewhat hedonistic tiefling named Basil. The glorious son Basil is not an original god, but is believed that their father was one of their ilk. So really fun lore. Like I said, you get all these really cool little heraldry symbols. I mean, this map is just stunning with all these little symbols on it. I love it so much. So very cool. Lots of fun to be had. If you like trolls, if you like post-apocalyptic, anything, even if you just want a background of a setting to talk about, I think this could be so much fun. So look for it under Aesyr Trollborn in the links below and give it a click. Next we've got, looks like I didn't open the window properly. 1 second. So we've got All Hail the Necrotoad and 15 Fungi on the Dead Man's Chest. 2 roaming dungeons by Sorcy Games, and it's from Mork Borg. And it's $3.95 for 30 pages. Karl-Erik Engvist is the author. And it says, 3 hags terrorize the countryside from their mansion inside a giant undead toad. Do you dare pay them a visit? And 15 fungi and on the dead man's chest, an alien fungus has infected a crew and their captain using their ship to spread the infection to coastal villages nearby. Can you stop it before it's too late? So you're getting 2 Mork Borg adventures. Both sound very fun and suitable for Mork Borg with some of the descriptions I've seen here. So very cool. And now we'll look inside. So you've got the hags, treasures. So it starts with the All Hail the Necrotoad, and then it goes into 15 fungi. So in here, you're getting to see a good chunk of All Hail the Necrotoad. So you've got some adventure hooks, points of interest within the toad, encounters at the toad, and then the Toad Mansion points of interest with the little numbers. I mean, really cool, fun artwork in the style of Mork Borg as well. Oh, I love this map too. Look at that. Really cool. Just tons of information that you can look through and absorb here to see if it's going to work for you. But I mean, these 2 maps alone are awesome, especially for Mork Borg. You can reuse these, create your own adventure around these maps if you want. You know, if you're really into Mork Borg, I think these fit so well, this artwork. So let's read a little bit about the adventure hooks. It says, in shock, a man in the village ruins screams, "They took my treasures!" Tracks from giant 2-toed creature lead further into the forest. Then another one is, a noble woman got her entire mansion stolen. Find the culprit and she pays your weight in silver. So her whole mansion got stolen. That's really cool. The PCs wake up in the dirty cells inside the Toad Mansion. Will they manage to escape before turning into dinner or a ritual sacrifice? And then beasts run in panic from the forest. What has scared them? So yeah, lots of ways to work your party into this with Mork Borg. But yeah, Mork Borg is a lot of fun. I love the feel of it and just the different art style. It definitely gives you that 5th edition or OSR feel, but its own thing, right? So love it. Excited to see all these options. I mean, just stunning artwork throughout here. You know, just fun. And that was just looking at the toads. So this is two separate things. You've got All Hail the Necrotoad, which we looked at parts of, and then you got the 15 fungi on the dead man's chest as well. So it's gonna be fun if you're into Mork Borg, if you're into like fantastical stuff. You can adapt this stuff pretty easily. I mean, just those adventure hooks. There's nothing about those adventure hooks that required it 5th edition or OSR. So I think you should grab this, especially at $3.95. Great price. So check it out under All Hail the Necrotoad in the links below and give it a click. Next we got Chaos Rising Into the Abyss, and it's Chaos Rising 2 from Necromancer Games for 5th edition and author James Kalura. And it says, in the first Chaos Rising, the adventurers traveled through time, entered the 𝙤𝙤𝙪 citadel, and joined a dwarven war between the followers of Dwarvatur and an army of Orcus. They joined the cabal of the Beard, took down the Brotherhood of the Ooze, and narrowly escaped the clutches of the 𝙬𝙤𝙪 and the Silver Eyes. After this, the heroes fought a tripartite battle against 𝙬𝙗𝙗, the Faceless Lord, and 𝘚𝙀, the Undying. In the end, good triumphed, evil lost, and the heroes were richly rewarded. Probably. But Chaos Rising 2 follows up on that. The characters are approached by mighty beings charged with keeping a balance in the cosmos. These agents seek assistance in stopping lunatic forces who wish to end all of existence. Can your heroes save the multiverse again? And it's a tier 4 adventure for 4 to 6 characters. So you've got all of this stuff here showing the table of contents, all the different places. I mean, this is looks like a sizable amount of information, which is helpful to get you started. You've even got some random encounters, new creatures, various maps here, something called the Swamp of Misery, and there's a player map version. So really preparing you to do some fun things with this. And it gives you a recap of the previous adventure if you don't have that or don't want to play through that. Doesn't seem like you have to have that as the background. It can be anywhere, but bringing in the multiverse, which is good. Always love that. And this is really cool here. So it's got conversation bullet points. So you interact with the character and it gives you all these different bullet points of things that might come up in that conversation. So in this example, it says, 𝙚𝙀 says that while they may see a devil, celestial, or even a god walking the halls, they will not see their face. Magical combination of smoke, fire, and sometimes a prismatic spray of color obscures everyone's face on board the Concordia. 𝙚𝙀 also warns the characters that sometimes what they see as a devil is really an angel, and sometimes that deity they see is actually immortal. The magic of the Concordia makes anonymity automatic. So this Concordia is a pretty fun place based on just reading those two. That's just 2 conversation bullet points. So those were super exciting. So I can imagine that the rest is going to be as well. So tons of little bullet points to have with these encounters. And I mean, I love this. Like this planned encounter. What does this button do? The characters meet Adon Rager, a cult fanatic. If a character asks 𝙚𝙀 for his S1 number on the way to requisitions, he grumpily replies, "Why was 6 afraid of 7? 7, 8, 9, of course, is the answer. When the characters arrive at the crystalline door the size of the mammoth, 𝙚𝙀 knocks and the door slowly rises. I mean, super flavorful. There's skeleton key, amulet of compliance, and the amulet of compliance. This device prevents any curse that takes effect after a long rest in the abyss. I mean, you're really getting to do a lot of fun stuff. So here's the Concordia that we referenced earlier. It's this name for the goddess of balance. The Concordia is a massive crystalline palace floating in a calm part of the astral plane. The palace is a single carved crystal almost as hard as diamond. The shape of the Concordia is a sideways pyramid. At its apex is the council chamber, and along its central shaft are dozens of side halls and teleportation lifts to other levels. It is wondrous and completely disorienting at the same time. Wherever the characters go, dozens of beings are on their way to other locations walking with purpose. Instead of providing a location-based encounter, the adventure on the Concordia's 4 set pieces create additional encounters or design other challenges. So I love that, giving you lots of options. And this location, I feel like, is really good for all the multiverse stuff that's coming up between Spelljammer, the Radiant Citadel, So might as well get in now, start building in some planner stuff and getting ready for that with this book. And it just there's even a faction in here. Actually multiple factions, it looks like. So I'm loving this. I think there's a lot to offer, and Necromancer Games always does really good stuff. So you need to check it out under Chaos Rising, Into the Abyss, in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Complete Thaumaturgic Codex from Bloodstone Press, and it is 5th edition by 𝙤𝙘𝙧𝙧𝙀, and it is $4.99 for that PDF on sale. Looks like it's half price right now. But you've also got all these options for print, everything from premium color, soft cover, standard color, I mean, in combos. So you could get, amazingly, you could get the soft cover standard color book and the PDF for $8.99, which is almost the regular price for the PDF. So that's really cool. 50 pages printed, and PDF for $9. I mean, that's unheard of. So really great prices here. Thank you, Bloodstone Press, for being so kind with your pricing for readers. And so it's got 77 spells, 46 magic items, all for 5th edition, right? It says many of these spells first appeared in Bloodstone's earlier books for 3rd edition and Pathfinder, but now they've been revised and updated. So that's awesome. You don't often see a lot of the old stuff from 3rd edition or Pathfinder get updated. And it's kind of sad to me because there's some really great stuff out there. But I mean, people can try to convert it themselves, but I always like when a publisher does it, because at least there's a greater chance that it's going to be balanced and well made. You know, not that people can't create great balanced stuff, but it is something that you really have to work at. It's not something you can just instantly do and make something balanced if you're trying to homebrew it. So anyway, very cool. All 20 spells from the Thaumaturgic Codex #1 and Thaumaturgic 2, 3. Basically, they're combining all this stuff from these older books into one with upgrades, which is awesome. And then items as well. So everything from dissipation, help your enemies to be in 2 places at once by teleporting only some of them away. That sounds fun. Kaleidoscopic strike, a burst of mind-bending colors sends your weakest enemies to their graves. Those strong enough to survive are left stricken with psychedelic trauma. Oh, sounds fun. And then you've got beastly transformation, turn your pet cat or dog into a deadly beast. Creeping shadows, who needs friends when your enemies are delusional. And then down in the items, you've got Blanket of Solace, protects you from the cold and from your enemies. Compass of Direction, this handy compass finds a lot more than magnetic north. So yeah, I'm intrigued by all of these, especially for this low price. So very, very good. So looking inside, you can see the full list. So it goes from Abyssal Vortex all the way to Wildfire on the spells, and the magic items from Arrow of the Sun all the way to Warning Statue. And so really fun. And it says there are 19 spells and magic items not available in previous books. So it's not just conversions and upgrades, right? We're getting some new stuff. So keep that in mind. And very cool. They're listing all the different spells here. So we don't get to read any in the preview, which is okay, because we got to read some of those concepts. And again, you know, all of these concepts sound really good. You know, I'm a publisher. If these were pitched to me, I would probably buy them because they sound really good. And it's I think I don't even need to read the spell to say, okay, this sounds like it's gonna be fun. So yeah, I'm excited about this, especially the low cost to get it in your hands and to have the PDF. I mean, $9, you can have both. And I don't know if these prices are temporary or the permanent prices, so I would click the link under Complete Thaumaturgic Codex and get those print copies and digital copies now, in case it's just a first week of release discount. A lot of publishers, they'll do that first week of release discount, so that could be what's going on. I don't know, but either way, sounds like a really good time, so check it out. Next, we've got Creed's Codex, Arcane Secrets of the Summoners from Night Vision Creative, and it's free. It's 10 pages, and it's a preview of the full 100+ page that is now on Kickstarter. and it's a supplement for the 5th edition, of course. And it's got a summoner, includes the Colossus subclass for players to get a sense of how the summoner focusing on a single immensely powerful creature functions. It's got 3 new spells, one of which utilizes the new enhanced upcasting mechanic. And lore includes a history of summoners, the fabled power of convergence, and an exploration of enhanced spellcasting. So, you know, we sometimes get these free books that are kind of introducing you to what's going on in Kickstarter, and I say that's great because then you can check it out, see if it's a campaign you want to back. But even if it's not, you're going to get a little bit of content and you know, get something for free. So it's nice to be able to do that and check it out. And there's so much talent out there trying to do Kickstarter, so I always encourage you to check these out while you can, while the Kickstarter is going on, and see if it works for you. You know, a lot of the Kickstarters, I mean, getting the book through the Kickstarter is going to be the cheapest way. So I think it's always worth checking these out. I check them out a lot and see. I have certain criteria I'm looking for when it's backing a Kickstarter. So you know, do it while the Kickstarter's live, right, before you miss out on some of the maybe exclusives or lower prices, right? And like I said, you're going to get free content either way, even if it's just like, okay, so we're looking at this one, right? Even if it's just like, okay, I'm going to use this image. Maybe I have a big bad or an NPC that I need an image for. You know, you've downloaded the PDF. You can frame your screen to just show this part, right? You don't have to show the preface up here. So there's a lot of value. So it's going into the summoners here, what that's going to be, because it's going to be a new class that's part of this, and then it goes into the Colossus, the Frostbeam. So you're going to get this whole new spell here for free, and another one down here, Lifebolt, and another one called Theatrics. So definitely well worth it. So let's read about the Frostbeam here. It's a 2nd level evocation. Range of 60-foot line from self, and takes an action concentration up to 1 minute. A beam of frigid water 5 feet wide and 60 feet long, stopping early if it collides with a solid surface or creature, blasts from you in a direction you choose for the spell's duration. If a creature is hit by the beam, it must make a con saving throw or take cold damage. While concentrating on this spell, you have a movement speed of 0 as icy support structures anchor your feet to the ground. Each round you maintain concentration on this spell, or each round you maintain concentration on the spell. The damage of the spell increases by 1d12. So that's a really cool mechanic. Every round that you keep your concentration, it starts doing more damage. That's really cool. On each of your turns for the duration, you can use your action to force the creature to roll another con save, dealing the cold damage on a failure. When a creature is hit by the beam, it must spend 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot it moves for the rest of its turn. As a bonus action on each of your turns before the spell ends, you can change the direction in which the line blasts. So that's cool. And then there's some higher level stuff, including Frozen Burst. Creatures within 5 feet of solid surface or creature being hit by the beam must also make a con saving throw. So yeah, all of these things are cool. You basically get to choose an additional effect based on your high level. So I like that. I really think, and this is something we're going to be doing in our future books as well, that that higher level section of spells needs more than just the damage goes up. There's so much more that can be done there, and I'm excited to see publishers also experimenting with that. So really fun. And then you have this example of one of the subclasses for the summoners, and just really going to talk about what the summoners are. So a lot of people want a summoner class, so I think you should check this out so you can read about it. And again, you know, they have a Kickstarter going, so if you like what you see in here, then right now is the time to get on that Kickstarter as well. But in any case, I want you to grab this so you can get these free spells and look at this gorgeous art, and think about that campaign if it's something you want to back. So check it out under Creed's Codex and the links below, and give it a click. Next we got Dr. Diomedes from 𝙁𝙬𝙬 and Cliff Dunn. It's $2 for 19 pages for 5th edition. It says, what an excellent day for an exorcism. Dr. Diomedes is one of the most powerful and popular exorcists in all of Zool. The wealthy and powerful seek him out to rid their loved ones of hostile spiritual possession. But he has a secret. that only his half-orc partner in the healing arts knows about. And with a bounty on his head, there'll be hell to pay when Dr. Diomedes comes to 𝘏𝙪. So you get a brief history of the campaign setting, of course. And, you know, this is, again, part of 𝘏𝙬𝙬's drip release style. So every week they're releasing just a little bit so you can learn more about 𝘏𝙪, Xul, and the various characters that live there and build up sort of like, almost like, you know, how those monster manuals had the 3-ring binder and they were coming out with all the different pages, and, you know, you build up this huge collection over time. It's like that. Each week, 𝘏𝙬𝙬 is releasing more and more about Xul, getting you primed to have adventures there. So this one has a lot of pages for you to look at. There's 26 pages here. So much stuff. You're going to see pretty much the whole thing here. The sample I mean, look at how beautiful the artwork is. The sample exorcism. There's stories, adventure hooks, and these are long adventure hooks, right? You could really make use of these even if you don't use Diomedes. And you got somebody called 𝘏𝙀 here. Love the artwork on 𝘏𝙀. That is gorgeous. And then you've got Dr. Diomedes, and here's a picture of him. And yeah, that's very cool to have so much stuff. And let's see. So the challenge rating on Dr. Diomedes is 5. So much stuff. Really cool big stat block going on. And then 𝘏𝙀, this half-orc cleric, another good stat block. It's a challenge rating of 2. And then you've got the adventure hooks. One's called A Demon Walks Into a Bar, which is a fun, playful reference to jokes here. And then you've got diet and exorcism, as opposed to diet and exercise. So yeah, I guess that's the latest craze. You get an exorcism. Can you exorcise the fat from our bodies? If only it worked that way, right? All right, so we've got ancient Xulian medicine before and since the Giant Kings. You've got this cool little like letter looking thing, and the mechanics of possession, spirit possession, and just so much stuff for $2 to get you ready for this campaign as it unfurls week after week. But I mean, so much of the stuff is stuff that people just don't go into detail in with their campaign settings. They do like one book and they don't give you all this detail. So having this is nice to have all this extra detail. So let's see what we can read for you. We'll find some stuff to read. Let's read a little bit of one of the hooks here. So how do you exercise a broken heart? Having arrived in the free city of 𝘏𝙪 several months ago, Dr. Diomedes and 𝘏𝙀 have dazzled high society with a combination of personal magnetism and straight talk about the healing arts. Among their biggest fans is Lady 𝘏𝙪, mother of the patrician of 𝘏𝙪. So Lady 𝘏𝙪, and I know I'm probably pronouncing it wrong still, is another book that they did. So you could now combine those two together. So Lady 𝘏𝙪 hosts a weekly salon that's a combination of obstacle course and Sunday tea for backstabbing aristocratic ladies. Dr. Diomedes has been a special guest at the salon several times, and a number of highborn women have taken to none too subtly, suggesting that the good exorcist might like to be introduced to their daughters, nieces, younger sisters. Lady 𝘏𝙪 generally approves of such arranged matches as long as she is given proper credit, which is to say complete credit for bringing the happy couple together. So yeah, you're getting a lot of backstory for these hooks, which is really cool. And it looks like there's various complications. I'm not going to read all of it because I want you to come and read it. Because again, you know, Cliff and 𝘏𝙬𝙬 are really giving you so much in that you get to read the whole thing for free before you purchase it. But I mean, just this art and these stat blocks, it's definitely worth $2 for sure. So I really hope you check it out. It's under Dr. Diomedes and the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got 5th edition fantasy number 19, Denizens of the Reed Maze, from the wonderful Goodman Games. And it is also by Chris Doyle. And it's 32 pages, $6.99, and it's a level 3 adventure. It says your band of adventurers is gaining quite a reputation for yourselves in the borderlands. A local patron encourages you to investigate a recently aggressive band of frog folk stirring in the nearby fens. The frog folk have displaced a benevolent tribe of lizard folk, and rumors persist that they gather resources for an all-out war. The frog folk have even cut twisting passages through the tall reed grass to defend the route to their hilltop lair. Something sinister must be behind these actions. Following a trek through the stinking morass of the reed maze, your band finds a hidden shrine once dedicated to the Earth Mother, but now the lair of the frog folk leader. But all is not as it seems in this desecrated temple. What foul, eldritch sorceries have corrupted the frog folk leader, and can the heroes put an end to its diabolical machinations? So it's a wilderness crawl, and there's challenges to test the mettle of both seasoned players and neophytes. And then there's detailed encounters, but they've also got a frog folk village and a ruined shrine. So those are great things that you can port to wherever, right? Any place you have build a homebrew setting, or even official Wizards modules. You can port these little villages and things, these shrines. So love to see things like that. And look at the fun artwork. You've got this beast with a frog folk on top and some adventurers. And look at this really cool hex map. I love hex maps. Takes me way back. So cool. But yeah, Goodman Games always does such great stuff. I've been loving their redo of some of the classic modules from the basic system. Really, really good. Those are so beautiful. I love looking through those and reading them. So let's find some interesting stuff to read for you here. So shortly after arriving in the region, the frog folk set their eyes on the fens and its bountiful resources. The frog folk soon identified a hill surrounded on three sides by the river as an ideal location for a village. They also discovered a hidden shrine dedicated to the Earth Mother. Soon after, there was a bloody confrontation between the frog folk and a band of local lizard folk that resided on a mound in the fens to the west. Although the frog folk took heavy casualties, the lizard folk were nearly wiped out. The frog folk retreated to regroup, with the lizard folk's druidic leader communed with the Earth Mother for guidance. His deity guided him to the hidden shrine to find answers for how to deal with the frog folk incursion. On a solitary quest, the lizard folk druid made the secret trek to the shrine and has not been seen since. Weeks have passed, but the normally aggressive frog folk have hunkered down on their hill and created a maze in the reeds to defend the easiest route to their village. So I just love the setup of this. I mean, just so cool. Frog folk, lizard folk, all kinds of folk. And the reeds and mounds and swamps and just all kinds of stuff going on, and beautiful maps to depict it. And I just think this could be really fun, and it could be placed anywhere, because they do such a good job at Goodman Games with this 5th edition fantasy series of making it flavorful and have its own character, but not so much that you feel like you have to put it in exactly one particular setting. It really can go anywhere. And so I love the concept that Chris has here, and it's just really cool. And this is number 19, so if you like this one, maybe check out the other ones as well. But I'm excited, so look for it in the links below under 5th edition fantasy 19 and give it a click. Next, we've got Iron Kingdom's role-playing game, Legend of the Witchfire. It's really cool. So Privateer Press has, made Iron Kingdoms for years, and, they've been doing 5th edition versions. And so this is the Legend of the Witchfire adventure for levels 1 to 4 with this stunning cover. I really love this cover. It's just evocative of what could be going on and what kind of dangers await the players here. It's only $9.99 for this book, 5th edition, of course. And it says 21 years ago, the Iron Kingdoms was introduced through an acclaimed series of adventures. Now the legend continues in the newest edition for 5e. As a child, she lost everything when her mother was wrongfully executed for witchcraft, and her soul was consumed by the most ancient of all weapons, the Black Blade, known as the Witchfire. Hell-bent to spare her mother an eternity of torture, Aesyr stole the accursed sword and set out to unlock its dark secrets. With the voices of the Witchfire's imprisoned souls raging in her mind, Aesyr would eventually unlock the power of the infernal artifact and command an army of undead to vanquish the villains seeking to use the sword to once again subjugate the Iron Kingdoms. Now, nearly 2 decades later, the veteran of countless wars, Alexia turns to Corvus, the city of ghosts, in search of help from the malignant forces that seek the return of the coveted sword. The Witchfire's true purpose is finally revealed, and only the courage and sacrifice of a small group of unlikely heroes can save Alexia from the brink of madness and prevent the infernal weapon from fulfilling its apocalyptic legacy. So how cool, all that history, and this Alexia character sounds fun. I mean, normally you'd see a cover like this and say, oh, okay, she's the evil whatever, evil queen, evil witch, right? Not necessarily. You can't judge a book by its cover literally here, because, you know, Alexia has this sword and she's trying to, you know, rely on some heroes to help stop this apocalyptic legacy that's associated with this weapon. So really cool concept, playing with those tropes, you know, and not just being stereotypical, which I like. So you can see really robust table of contents here, at least 87 pages. It doesn't say over here how many pages, but it's at least 87 based on this table of contents here. Very cool. There's all these sections, and then you get a bestiary at the end, and allies and enemies, and a map. And then look, I love this art. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the full picture. But I mean, all these people walking around in the city of spirits. I mean, look at their faces. They've got these little, you know, almost Day of the Dead style faces, and I love the artwork. It's just really beautiful. So, and I think it's depicting Corvus, the city of ghosts, which you know, they're talking about visiting here. So it says, one of the largest cities in the Iron Kingdoms, Corvus is home to almost 250,000 inhabitants, although many of them go unrecorded by the official census. A dark and brooding city, Corvus straddles the waters where the Dragon's Tongue River splits from the Black River, with the former flowing west to the bustling port of Five Fingers, while the latter continues south to Signarin capital, Caspia. Corvus is a city of winding canals, bustling riverfronts, and shadowy alleyways where even the wary can easily disappear without a trace. Swampy ground at the edge of the foreboding Widower's Wood may seem like a strange location for a major settlement, but Corvus has thrived despite these difficulties, and as its buildings collapse from want of solid earth or sink into the mire, new structures are simply built atop the crumbling remains of the old. So love it. Love the flavor of this. So cool, descriptive. These Iron Kingdoms are really cool. And, you know, with Iron Kingdoms, you have some mechanical stuff, which is fun. So if you like that steampunk or mechanical things, you're going to get that involved as well. I just am really excited by this because they're bringing Iron Kingdoms to 5th edition, and really I think it's really rich on history and story. If you love lore at all, you're gonna like this. And I mean, it's 87 pages of a really cool sounding adventure with beautiful art and layout, and it's only $9.99 for 87 plus pages. So I think that if you are looking for an adventure, especially for early levels, this is levels 1 to 4. I mean, you could start a campaign with this and really get into this place called the Iron Kingdoms, and just have a ball. So check it out. It's under Iron Kingdoms role-playing game, Legend of the Witchfire, in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have 𝘎𝙤𝙬, the Lost Codex. And it's from Sushi Roll. It's 1060 for 52 pages. Authors Nicola De Marco and Ludovico Morvillo. And it doesn't say 5th edition over here. So if you're watching Sushi Roll, you'll want to update the check marks to make sure it includes 5th edition. But it says it is a setting of damned souls and unearthly horrors, totally compatible with 5th edition, where you play a character who died in their world of origin and awakened in this underworld of despair and madness. So we've talked about 𝘎𝙤𝙬 as the campaign setting before, and I love the concept of it. Really, really cool. It's in one of our previous episodes. There's 2 new playable races, the Starchild and the Zebris, 17 new subclasses, and the Lost Saint adventure, as well as a legend about the prodigious artifact of 𝘎𝙬𝙬, the Drop of Blood. So, you know, you got some new classes in the 𝘎𝙬𝙬 campaign setting book. This is giving you subclasses for all the official 5th edition classes, plus this class is introduced in 𝘎𝙬𝙬. So just so much to refill. And this isn't the only thing that came out from 𝘎𝙬𝙬 this week. Here's the original down at the bottom. You can see in this customers also bought area. And there's Tales of 𝘎𝙬𝙬, I think, came out this week. And I think there might have been a third one. So you want to click on Sushi Roll after you click on our link to look at all the different titles and get into 𝘎𝙬𝙬, because I think it's phenomenal from what I can see. I haven't played it, but from everything I've read, it looks really, really fun for players. And this layout is just gorgeous. It's very different from what you're used to, but you can see all the different subclasses. And then, like I said, they have subclasses for their new classes as well. You don't often see that. More subclasses later as you go from, you know, new classes. So very cool. Adventure, the Lost Saint, really cool. So get to see just a few pages, but I think what we're seeing here is really beautiful. I mean, look at the artwork for this new race, the Star Child. This is invariably all star children initially find themselves somewhere in the nameless abyss, where their existence begins and are believed to originate and fall from the false stars. They seem to be on a perennial quest to discover details about their origin and hints about their destiny, despite the truncated existence of their previous form, making this almost impossible. Star children are not that physically different from half-elves or slender humans with extremely gentle features. Their peculiarity resides in the subtle waves of golden light that seem to run along their most superficial veins, moving according to their mood. Faint glows ebb and flow like gentle tides when calm and relaxed, while quick, sharp bolts zap under their skin when angry, scared, or otherwise upset. So very cool. Very, very, very fun. Love the artwork. And this just is the concept of 𝘎𝙬𝙬 is just exciting to me, because it's characters who died on some other setting and ended up here. So you could really have a lot of fun with that. Take characters that have died at your table, bring them into 𝘎𝙬𝙬, and they will be shocked that they're coming back as something different and changing. And, you know, you can have them pick a new class even. It just could be so fun. Or just start with brand new characters. Just so many options. And I'm happy that they're continuing to supplement this world they've created. So look for it in the links below under 𝘎𝙬𝙬, the Lost Codex, and give it a click. Next we've got Mork Borg Cult Heretic from Free League Publishing, $9.99 for 68 pages. A bunch of authors, including Pell Nilsson, Johnny Carhat, Carl Druid, Ian McClung, and others. And it says it's a zine of community-made misadventure and malice for use with Mork Borg or other rules-light dark fantasy games. In this heinous tome of curses and hexes, you'll find seeds of a cult. Use this to generate cults, their leaders' beliefs, and spiritual home. On heroic feats, enhance and personalize your classless characters with these optional advancement rules. Graves Left Wanting, a campaign starting or post TPK Tomb Crawl adventure where the PCs find themselves buried alive in the vast ever-changing cemetery. Graven Tosk, and a bunch more. There's one called Bloat. Villagers disappear. Tracks lead to an underground temple of Bacchanalian frenzy, reeking of rot, offal, and bile. A 2-page dungeon. Borg Biter, Rotting Nurse, Nurse of the Rot, 2 additional optional classes, the Bastard of a Bard, Sacrilegious Songbird, and the Shedding Vicar, a fanatic preaching the skinless gospel. I mean, all super, super appropriate for the Mork Borg aesthetic, which I love. So let's look inside, and you know, just always with this fun layout too, that just tickles your eyes as you read through. And this is no exception. I mean, immediately we're seeing how these tables could be used for Mork Borg. They could be used for 5th edition, OSR, you name it. Because right here, it's just talking about cults and how you name them. So right here, it says its names. So you'd roll from column, you know, let's say you roll a 1, it could be Eternal Dawn. But then you could roll a second time, and let's say you got a 1 on the first one, and then you got 7. So it could be Eternal Necroble, or Eternal Rusty Razors, or whatever, right? You can combine these names to create a name of a cult for any version of Dungeons and Dragons or Mork Borg. And then it tells you what the cult cult's current status is. Is it almost annihilated, desperate for aid? Is it thriving, or would be if only something else happened? Secret and unknown, legend, lies, and myth, etc. And then here's the key member, perhaps the leader. So it could be a demented elder full of keys, a narcissistic pastor covered in rings, etc. And then the headquarters. Is it among the oldest, most obscure grift temples, bonfire camps in the coldest Kyrgyz crevices? I mean, you name it. There's options here. It says in order to reach the shimmering fields, one must do, and it lists all these options. I mean, just so much use out of these, and in so many settings. And then you've got more stuff beyond that, because now we're getting into some unheroic feats. It says, when getting better, if not using an optional class, you may instead gain a feat. You may also gain an additional feat each time you get better. Consult your GM on how feats are used. Options include randomly choosing or through specific narrative achievements. And then they've got some here, like Assassin's Death Blow, a firm grasp, a sharp knife. That's all it takes for someone to disappear into the alleys of Gallenbach. You've become adept at it over the years. Test strength DR 12 to grapple an unaware foe and automatically crit with one-handed bladed weapon. So it's nice to see feats in the sort of Mork Borg arena, because you don't always get those. You got Butcher here. It says when any ally dies near you, test agility to perform rapid life-saving surgery, rendering them broken instead. Should the person still die, you may make D4 rations out of the corpse. So you could adapt some of these to 5th edition, you know, have various, you'd have to change some of the words, but you could adapt that. And I mean, hopefully you're playing Mork Borg as well, and you could use it for Mork Borg. I mean, this book is just filled with so much. I mean, each page, this page has 5 things that you can right away use, even if you're not building a cult. The headquarters could be used for something else. The activities could be used for something other than a cult. The names could be used for other than a cult. Just value dripping from every page. And I absolutely love that. And I love the look of it. I mean, it just screams fun to me. And this list of things that's going on in here, and all these people over here that worked on it, it's just exciting. $9.99. Gonna get 68 pages of Mork Borg goodness that can also be used for other things. So check it out under Mork Borg Cult Heretic in the links below, and give it a click. Next we got Procedures to Discover the Path Ahead by Seedling Games, and it is $5.95 for 32 pages. This is a tool for world building, GM prep, or solo or GM-less games to create a world that changes the further you are from home. So you can print it at home, or you can, you know, use the PDF, of course. There's 6 different types of journey tables to be used on their own or together. There's random tables ranging from abstract social values to legumes, suitable for fantasy adventures with or without fighting, guidelines for drawing maps, and for theater of the mind journeys, and advice on hacking this system to make it your own. And so it's technically listed as system neutral, but I saw so much when I looked at this preview that you could use in 5th edition or OSR that I wanted to make sure to share it with you this week. But this book is just packed with stuff. So you can see already we're in this part here where it says a day in the life in this world. And it says a place to start a journey. You would pick a small town, a farming village, a settlement in the wilds, a village by the sea. It's D6, right? Stable crops. Does it have maize, rice, wheat, potatoes, etc.? Utility crops, cotton, linen, you know, trees, hemp, luxury, whatever, gourds. And then the seafood, legumes, livestock. I mean, just you could create so many little villages, the village animals, the luxury crops, the luxury from the wilds, festivals, flavors, architecture, attitudes of people: unfriendly, suspicious, see you as useful, see you as interesting, friendly, welcoming, you know, what you can get here: a friend, companion, pet, special equipment, etc. And you can see where this would work for solo as well, because, you know, you're just rolling and it tells you what happens to be at this place on the map, right? Reasons for a journey, people you meet on the road, the merchant caravan, are they wealthy, knowledgeable, prepared, all D6. So it's super easy. You just roll your dice you can take out of your Monopoly game. You know, you don't even need to buy special dice for this. So I love that. And you've got Overland here. It talks about what you would run into, rough wilds, farmland. You might need 2d6 here, but still, that's fine. So yeah, very cool. Very cool. Unfriendly settlement, not necessarily violent, but no warm welcomes. It's a bandit camp, an army, or spreading empire, a strange insular town, a supernatural threat. I mean, your imagination can run wild. If you're a creator, you can use this to populate a map, get things going. If you're just homebrewing, you can use it for that. If you're playing solo, I mean, the angles that this book is usable for are great, and it's only $6 for these 32 pages of good stuff. So I definitely encourage you to grab it as a resource for yourself. It's under Procedures to Discover the Path, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we have Ravings from Starkhold, The Lost Brothers Bestiary, and it's from Mork Borg, and it's published by Legend Keeper, $9.99, 40 pages. And it says, seeking to expand their pasture land, herders of Sarkash's Edge demolished an ancient, ruined wall. Amidst its foundation stones, they discovered a bundle of papers wrapped in oilskin. Those pages described, among others, the horrors inhabiting myth-spun Skarhold. For fans of Mork Borg, or anyone who's been curious about dipping their toes into the fast-growing OSR scene, with help from some top-tier independent creators, Legend Keeper is pleased to present this book. So you get 20 new monsters from Mork Borg, set inside the mysterious continent of Skarhold. Piece together the final notes of the ill-fated brother 𝙤𝙤 as you encounter the monsters of a realm that cannot be sought. So shocking double-page layouts, an original map of Skarhold, 20 new monsters, and random tables as well. So you can see here lots of stuff. So something called the Blue Wrinkly, the Thorny Beast Bug, Valley of the Unfortunate Undead. So yeah, it looks beautiful. They don't have a full-size or quick preview, so we can zoom in here and try to see a little bit more. So greasy insults. Is that a beard, or are you eating a drowned muskrat? You smell good enough to eat, and by good I mean dead. I've seen liches with more sex appeal than you've got. So some fun insults here. Heckling. This is the Grease Crew. And then the Blue Wrinkly, a thirsty man fears two things: a clear hot day and the bitter horror of the blue rain. And it's wrinkly, as the rain provides momentary relief until you realize the big globules never dry. Thick fluids wriggle between skin and muscle and grow like a massive boil. Flesh turns blue, body baggy and loose, and then taut around the boils. Loose fluid freezes quickly. Dense, flailing limbs become spiked club arms. So these are some really interesting characters and monsters going on. So this book looks like it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it could be a really good time, especially for people that like Mork Borg, or I could see some of these things like that concept of the Blue Wrinkly. If you could convert that to 5th edition, if you're crafty enough, that could be fun in 5th edition too. And these insults, I mean, you can use those in any edition of the game, honestly. So very, very cool. So check it out under Ravings from Skarhold, and the link's below, and give it a click. Next, we've got the Stargazer's Guide to Aurora, a campaign guide for the Starborn heroes from Ink and Lear, and it's $25 for 226 pages. That's a lot of pages, and it's got a lot of authors, including C.J. Gahagan, Brandon Hatcher, Daniel Hodges, Lauren Hodges, Luke Sterling, Jake Hoosbuck, and Deanna Smith. I'm sure I butchered some of those. I'm sorry, but I wanted to at least try to get your names in there. And it says it's a land where magic, destiny, and danger define your legendary journey. Says that the all-new setting introduces zodiac signs and astrology as a character creation concept. The robust rule set and lore-driven signs help you create a unique character that is empowered by celestial bodies. In Aurora, the precise circumstances of your character's birth invite the natural and magical world to guide your destiny. So you're getting 2 new races, 11 new subclasses, leaders and factions, a world map, 12 signs based on the zodiac, unique zodiac character creation, 13 cities, just a bunch of stuff. 2 monsters, 12 magic items, just so much more. And there's a fun little video you can watch. I watched it earlier. So really cool. Let's look inside. So you get to see 12 of those 226 pages. And with the contents, you can see there's so much, there's races, including the Fey Folk and the Celesticept. And then you've got subclasses, including the Bartender Rogue and the Ironclaw Barbarian and the Planner Domain Cleric. And you've got leaders and factions and the stars. It goes into all the signs. And so they pair things to the real world things. Like, so the Wisterius is the in-game name for Taurus, or the Sunbask is Gemini, etc. So you can have them. I would be a Waking because I'm a Capricorn. And then you got rulers, all the different schools of magic here, heirs connected to it, cities, points of interest, and then your monsters and magic items, of course, too. But I mean, look at this beautiful map. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the whole thing all at once, and then zoom back in. Isle of Ghostguard, Sunspell. I mean, these maps are beautiful. And yeah, I really like this quite a bit. And yeah, it says the Masters of the Weave is a pantheon of humanoid wizards who have ascended to godhood long before anyone alive remembers. Aurora had no concept of magic or how to control it. Magic was reserved for the gods. The first wizards of Nauvoo, Maximum, developed cantrips at first, then first level spells, and so on. Ambition and greed drove the wizards to pursue power, and they soon discovered that the control was nice, but source magic was the ultimate goal. One by one, the Masters of the Weave began to hunt the avatars of what would become known as the Lost Gods. Each time one was slain, ancient magic was divided, dispersed, and used to power the ascension of a master. Residual magic spread into the land, creating the enchanted forest, bolstering ancient entities and coalescing on magical artifacts. So very fun background of magic there. And then you've got Lavi, conjuration, neutral good, masquerade no more. God of creation, Lavi is an elf and celebrates beauty and life in all its forms. They are most commonly worshipped by elves, and they share many of the same ideals. Lavi loves a good story and encourages their followers to pursue passions that would change the narrative of their lives. They love secrets, discovering, sharing, and keeping them for followers is something they revel in. Secrets are the currency of intimacy, and Lavi is said to own one of Trompery's 3 secrets. Lavi isn't openly worshipped outside of Eldergard, but manages to have quite the congregation anyway. Anyone who is choosing their own path, following their heart, or hiding a deep secret may find themselves crossing paths with Lavi. And then you've got all these other information on the different gods. I mean, just really fun. And then there's something called Meridium. It's an innately magical ore, which naturally occurs in Aurora, so you can read all about that, and raw versus refined, and then the size and different things. So just so much goodness in here for you, and I mean, just tons of stuff. And I really think that it looks great. I love the concept. I enjoy reading about astrology in real life, so seeing it incorporated into the game is fun. And I think the names of things they've got are really good. So just a lot to explore here, a whole new setting, and you can even take parts of it out. You don't have to use the whole setting. You can take some of the gods, or take some of the magic items or monsters or whatever, right? So keep that in mind. And check it out in the links below under Stargazer's Guide to Aurora, and give it a click. Next, we have Temple of the Living Earth from Lone Colossus Games. It's on sale for $7.49 right now, and it's 17 pages. It's a 3 to 5 session, or about 12 to 20 hours adventure for 5, 7 to 8th level characters. And it takes the adventurers to a volcanic temple where they must put a stop to a powerful necromancer monk's plans to corrupt the spirit of the volcano and create an army of magma core undead. And it's part of a bundle, so if you want some map packs that go with this, you can get those all for $9.99 on sale. And you can get to this by clicking our link to get here. And let's take a look inside. Look at this beautiful map already, right off the bat. Look at that lava, magma flowing through all this stuff. I love that. These maps can be reused for other things, not just this adventure, so it's always good to have that. You've got something called the Skeletal Glory. It's a challenge rating of 5. with some nice artwork in here. Orig, the living flame, once a member of the sect of the living earth, Orig became dissatisfied with the life of a monk and took to the road, searching for a new way of life. After falling in with a rough crowd, he discovered that he had an innate talent for controlling the powers of fire and death, swiftly earning a name for himself in the darker circles of the world. Finally, he struck upon the idea of magma core undead and decided that the Temple of the Living Earth would make a perfect place to conduct his arcane research. So very good. I like that. And it's got something called, this skeletal glory has something called a burning backhand. And it does fire and bludgeoning damage. And destructive retribution. When the magma core undead is destroyed, its core explodes, showering nearby creatures in flecks of magma. Each creature within 10 feet of the magma core undead must make a con saving throw or take fire damage. So very cool. Yeah, just lots of fun stuff related to magma, lava. Love these maps. I think you're going to get some good stuff here, and you can get all these maps separately as well. So if you just like the map, that would be an option as well. But I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And Lone Colossus seems to be putting out a lot of good stuff these days. So check it out under Temple of the Living Earth in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Velmire Lodge, Setting Guide for 5th edition by Gabrielo Despent, and it is on sale for $3.99. It is written by Gabrielo Despent, and it says, it's a tavern and inn situated within a hunt or be hunted forest, and it includes 8 monster stat blocks, a hunting guild, D6 tables for role-playing or prepping inspiration, 9 NPCs, and tavern maps. So all kinds of goodies, and you can see each room is getting some description here. We've got a polar owlbear, which is a challenge rating 3, and yeah, that's really fun. Let's look inside. So you know, you can always use like a little lodge in your campaign somewhere, right? And it's got suggested names for the tavern. It's got menu, what's available to purchase. And then you've got your maps in here as well. I mean, look at how cool this lodge map is. You've got the sort of dining area, and then, you know, an area where there's various bottles and things. And then you go upstairs, and then there's this kitchen, other stuff going on. Or actually, this is downstairs. So there's this kitchen here, but then, you know, maybe the stairs go either down or up. I'm not sure. And then you've got like a storage room with casks of liquor. Just really fun. Nice little lodge that you can use to place somewhere in your campaign. Give it a feel that you know there's a place to go to, and that it's home base kind of. And you've even got a guild in here and some monsters. So you know, a lot of supplements you just get the setting and you don't get the guild or the faction or the monsters. So you're getting all of that with this, which is really cool. So check it out under Velmire Lodge in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have What a Lovely Adventure. It's an anthology of 7 LGBTQIA plus romantic adventures by Transparent Games. It's $13.95 for 86 pages of fun with lots of authors. So I'm not going to read all the names, but there's a lot of authors involved. And it says, love is the greatest adventure of all. And with this, you get these romantic adventures for 5th edition. It says characters of diverse genders and sexualities have to deal with romantic drama. Will you help them connect with their loved ones and reach a happy ending? It says the adventures are prepared to be run using 5th edition basic rules and creatures. All required stat blocks are included. The 7 adventures are short and sweet, and they take about 2 to 3 hours to complete. Of course, if the party loves roleplay, it's going to last longer. And then there's options to continue. But that's really cool because a book filled with adventures that are basically one session is really nice, because then you have them just sitting there ready to go. And there's some fun creators in here, you know, Saga McKenzie, Matthew Whitby, Sebastian Yu, lots of great creators out there doing stuff for our community. And it's just exciting. It's exciting because romantic adventures, there aren't a lot of those, and then just having so many that you can do in a short amount of time that are representative. it's important for people to see themselves in things so that they feel like they're normal and part of the world, as opposed to abnormal when everything is cookie cutter and the same. So books like this are very important, because by playing these out at your table, if there's anybody at your table that has not seen this or seen anything like this, they can see that it's okay, and that there are so many different ways to walk through life, and really get to see just a different point of view, and it makes it different instead of always being the same, right? So I love that. So just reading a little bit about some of the adventures. So Sebastian used sword-crossed lovers. The sword Heartsinger is a wedding gift from Prince Rocinante to his fiancée, Prince Qiloran. When it goes missing, the party must find both the sword and the thief and bring them both back for justice. The thief, however, has a romantic dilemma of her own. Can the party help two sets of lovers get together peacefully, or will it end in chaos and warfare? So I love that. I'm a big romance fan, so I love romance in these kind of games and stuff. So it's exciting to see opportunities to role play, even if you're just on the sidelines. You don't have to be in the middle of the romance. Then we've got perpetual love at first sight. Nothing compares to the experience of falling in love with someone truly special, a mere moment in time that is rarely perfectly captured. However, if given the option to fall in love with the same person all over again, would you take it? Anne LaFairfoot loses her memory of ever meeting Miami the Joyous. Each time she leaves the Feywild. Each time she returns, however, history repeats itself and she falls in love with Mammy all over again. I think I said Miami, but it's Mammy. Sorry about that. And then under All the Last Goodbyes, we have retired adventurer Lady Adelaide Linnae knows she is reaching the end of her life. She wishes to take one final journey to revisit the past loves of her life and tie up loose ends before she dies. Though fearsome in reputation, her strength has waned, and she requires an entourage of adventuring bodyguards to keep her safe in this journey. Whether she gets the closure she seeks or not will be up to them. So a lot of angles. It's not just like star-crossed lovers and getting them together or whatever. There's a lot of romantic angles here already in just the three that we read, and there's a bunch more listed here. We're not going to read them all today, but hopefully you'll come here and look at all of them and do just that. So there's safety guidelines here at the beginning, and then you get right into Saga Mackenzie's first adventure right here, and then just it goes deep into that, so you can get real good exposure to it. It says it's for level 1 to 3, and then it gives you the overview and the background. And so let's read some of the hooks here. Due to their growing reputation as reliable mercenaries, Lady Adelaide hires the party as bodyguards, promising a generous payout if they aid her in making an important trip. Adelaide will offer 150 gold each, payable on completion, with 20 gold advance if the adventurers insist on money upfront, requiring a persuasion check. The party are approached by a bard in the employ of Lady Adelaide, who is composing a ballad about her life and loves. Unfortunately, the bard is unable to travel with Adelaide on her planned journey and is in need of assistance in recording this last trip for the finale of his composition. So I love these reasons for coming together in this adventure. And then there's some ideals, bonds, and flaws for Lady Adelaide. Just really cool stuff. And so let's just read one of the flavor texts here. So it says, the festival, the sounds of the carnival atmosphere surround you in the cozy, picturesque village. Round earthy homes twinkle with colored lanterns and hanging bunting as tables and stalls choke the streets. Dozens of halfling folk mill about, laughing and celebrating. It's hard not to find yourself swept up with the enthusiasm as you pass beneath a bright blue painted banner proclaiming happy 220th birthday, Magda. So fun stuff. Makes you feel like you're in a halfling village or something. I like it. I think it's great. I'm glad this exists and that it's here for us to support. So check it out under What a Lovely Adventure in the links below and give it a click. So we have all these discounts every week, brand new exclusive discount. Well, next week we're going to give you a discount to the Grandmother Tree, which is a really cool, cute little mini adventure with cookie swarms and a 3-story treehouse, all kinds of stuff. It's whimsical and it's about problem solving and adventuring, and it's for characters levels 2 to 3 with maps, all kinds of fun stuff, and a portion of the proceeds go to Extra Life as well. So really excited to bring you a discount to this title. It's a fun one. It's got really good reviews, and you know, there's a new one every week, so you want to be following us at Splinterverse on all those social media channels, because the discount comes out on our social media channels other than YouTube at 10 a.m. on Mondays, and then when we get to the Friday new release episode, we do start sharing it on YouTube as well. So other than, you know, kind of previewing it here this week, so you definitely got to be part of the Splinterverse everywhere you can, so you can keep up with all this goodness. And I really can't wait for you to find out more about this adventure. We're going to talk about it in detail next week. So as I said, this is our 52nd episode. We've been doing this for a year now, and I'm so excited that you've all joined me on this journey. I hope you continue traveling with me and all these great creators every week. We've got to keep supporting them so that they are encouraged to do this. These are a lot of small business owners. It can be a challenge to stay afloat and keep doing this. So buying these books, promoting these books is helping so many people. As I said, we've talked about 2,000 of them over the course of a year. So just think how many more we can cover over the next year, and just keep getting the word out and exposing people to these awesome creators that they need to follow and support. So please look at the books in the video description and the first comment, the pinned comment there. Click those links and do your shopping through us. It'll help support the channel, help support all these great creators. If you purchase any books after you click those links, it's going to help us as well. We've got all the Splinterverse titles from last year down there. A new one coming super soon is coming out in May, so you're going to start hearing a lot more about this next book, our biggest one ever. And please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, help us get the word out about all these awesome creators, and keep supporting them because they are truly epic. Leave them comments, follow them on social media as well. And until next time, happy adventuring.